This is a demonstration of a new game I programmed for the Coleco Adam computer called Ace of Aces. It's totally written in Turbo Pascal 3 with the graphic and sound extensions, and was actually developed within the Adam environment, although I did use the virtual Adam emulator for most of the development for reliability and speed of compilation, and then ported it to the actual hardware for testing. This game is a tactical air combat game in the World War I era, and is for a single player with the computer playing your opponent. To start the game, basically let's reset the computer. What you need is basically a single disk drive or digital data pack and a base console. There's no need for memory expansion or any fancy hardware otherwise. So let's reset, and it should boot up into CPM 2.2. Here we go. Once we get the prompt, just type Aces and press enter. And I'm using a SD based disk drive instead of a real disk drive, but even then it's still a bit sluggish, and that's probably related to the slowness of the Coleco connecting bus with the external hardware. In any case, here is the splash screen. Just press any key to go on to the main game. So you'll have several options displayed for you as soon as it loads. Here we go. So you have solo action, which means that you will have a single airplane and you will be facing off with a single opponent. You have a new career, which basically will track you across many games by saving a special file or dossier to disk in between each game. And with that option you get to start at the lowest rank, which is Sergeant, and then move up through promotion up to a general rank. There are 7 total ranks available. You also start with the weakest airplane, but then as you get promoted, you will get upgraded to a better airplane. Nobody's going to trust you with a really good airplane initially, because your survival is uncertain at that point. With career options, you also get wingmen assigned to you. They're also computer controlled, but they are on your side. And the lower the rank, the more wingmen you get. I think as you start you have 3 wingmen, and then as you move up it goes down to 2. I'm sorry, you have 2 wingmen when you start, and then it goes down to 2 to 1, and then eventually you have no wingmen whatsoever as you consider it to be an ace. And then the third option is the old carrier. Basically you load a already saved carrier. I strongly suggest, aside from reading the manual, I think it's really important that you do so. And yeah, Millie, I'm talking to you specifically here. I would recommend you start with solo action to just get familiarized with the process. While this is not really a true air simulation, it is still somewhat it can be somewhat complicated. There are a few things you need to juggle in order to fly your airplane properly. And so starting with solo action is probably a better option. So why don't we do that? Let's press 1. You get to select your side. There's a German side and there's an Allied side. Let's go with the German. And at this point we're going to get a choice of 3 airplanes. Each side in the game has 3 different airplanes, and the manual lists them all with their specifications. Here you get also the list of specifications available. They're all a little different. The range is different in most. The maximum speed, climb rate, ceiling, and stall speed. These are all emulated correctly in the game, and so you definitely will see some variability in the performance between these different airplanes. Why don't we go with the biggest and baddest of them, the Fokker DR7. So let's press 3. And so now we get into the situation room, and since we are doing a solo mission here, we have no wingmen. We confirm that we have a Fokker DR7 airplane, and then the enemy plane is going to be a Sopwith Camel, which is a pretty decent airplane. Alright, so once we know what we're getting into, we press any key to start the battle, and so the battlefield will be displayed. First your dashboard will be shown, and then the field. The field consists of basically a green field with some ponds, some buildings and trees, and then some rubble. And then your airplane is here in white. You know, you can recognize your airplane from any other airplane by its cyan wingtips. And then the enemy airplane is in magenta. All enemy airplanes are in magenta. Your side always starts on the left side of the screen, and the enemy side is always on the right side of the screen. Going over quickly the dashboard, I should mention that this dashboard only relates to your airplane specifically, regardless of what other airplane is selected. This only reflects your flight parameters. You have an altitude. There is a long marker here which touches the rim, and that's your ceiling, so you know where your ceiling is. You cannot exceed your ceiling under any circumstance. The shorter arm is basically your actual altitude at this point. All the units in this game are relative units, and this is for ease of programming. Next is speed. Here you have two long arms. One is your maximum speed available, and the other is for your stall speed. You have to pay particular attention to both of these. And the shorter arm is what your actual speed is. So here we're starting about midway. Next is your throttle. It goes from 0 to 100. Again, it's relative. It has 5 positions: 0, 25, 50, 75, and 100. Next is your fuel gauge. It goes from full initially to empty, and the rate of consumption depends on your plane and your speed, or your throttle setting, I should say. More about that in a minute. Below it you have 5 symbols for bullets. This is your ammo. Every time you fire you lose 1. If you fire 5 times you're done as far as ammo is concerned. So you need to be very picky as to when and where you shoot. On this side you have your maneuvers and your attitude. You have 5 different maneuvers: straight, hard right, hard left, shallow right, shallow left. They're self-explanatory. And then below them are your attitude options. You have a climb, descent, level flight. You have a downward Immelmann, which is a split S facing downwards, which reverses your direction by 180 degrees, but causes significant loss of altitude and a significant increase in speed. So you have to be careful with your speed and with your altitude. The other one is a climbing Immelmann, which is the exact opposite, where you climb instead of descend as you do a split S and change directions 180 degrees. Below that is a status bar, which will display various messages and warnings, and also will show the type of plane selected. Lastly, on this side is what I call the relative altitude indicator. This indicates the relative altitude. It's not an absolute altitude, but relative altitude between a selected plane and your plane. And so since my plane is currently selected, it's at basically 0. If it goes towards the high, that means that the opposite plane is higher than you are. If it goes to low, that means the opposite plane is lower than you are, and you have to adjust accordingly. High altitude difference is important because fire efficacy is dependent both on distance and altitude, and the closer you are to your opponent, the better the chances of you scoring a hit, and the larger the amount of damage you can inflict. So when you start the game, you get a review prompt. Basically, it will ask you to check the field, essentially the other airplanes, see what altitude they are, what status they are at, depending as far as damage, etc. And you make a decision that way on how you want to conduct your flight maneuvers. So in this case, it's only one other plane. Use the arrow key right and left to basically check that other plane. This is up with camel, we knew that, but anyway. And you can go back and forth. Notice that your airplane type is not displayed. It's not necessary, or you know what it is, but the enemy is. So once you're happy with your review, just press enter and return, and then now you can enter your flight parameters. First you'll be asked for a throttle setting. I'm going to keep it at 50%. A word about throttle. If you keep your throttle at 50 or below, then your fuel consumption is normal. If you go at 275 or 100, then your fuel consumption is doubled. So that's an important consideration. Also, your speed is obviously dependent on your throttle. There are a lot more details about it in the manual, so please make sure you read that. So why don't we keep it at 50, so just press return, maneuver. I'm going to keep going straight. You can switch maneuvers by using the right and left arrow keys. The red bar below the symbols indicates your currently selected maneuver, so we'll keep it at straight, so press return. And then we're going to stay at level attitude here, so just fly straight. Okay, when I'm happy with that, press enter, and then the enemy will conduct its own flight assessment and orders. Then you'll be asked to select a target. You can obviously select something, but it's way too far. There's no point in doing that. But just to show you, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and fire anyway. So here, oh, I missed the opportunity. No, I didn't actually. I selected my plane. I can't fire it myself, so now I selected the opponent. Press F to fire. There we go. Obviously, nothing happens. Alright, so next it's updating the positions, and it's also updating the dashboard. Again, remember, the dashboard only represents your plane and not the enemy planes. Alright, so now we're back to review. So this is basically the sequence of turns. You review, you put in your flight parameters, the computer puts in its flight parameters and fires if necessary, and finally you have a fire phase for you, and then you're back to square one. So that's a full turn. So let's see again what the plane is doing. It's a little higher. You notice that the pointer is a little bit towards the high, but it's not. It's probably about 500 units, so not above, so not really terribly worrisome. Each move of the pointer is 500 units of altitude, up or down. Alright, so nothing to change here, so I'm going to keep going with the same settings, and the computer will do its thing. It is completely unaware of what you do as far as orders are concerned, so it's not cheating, if you wonder about that. Alright, there's nothing. I'm not going to select any targets. Press return. Okay, so we should be back at updating here, and really I think, yep, it's still about there, so just no change in orders. Now I have to mention that it's a really bad idea to try to go head on with another plane. So I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, but normally you want to try to sneak up on the side if you can. It's not always easy, but yeah, don't do what I'm doing right now. Alright, yeah, just keep going. Alright, I'm not selecting a target. Alright, we're getting kind of close already here, so let's see where we are. Alright, so where are you? Yep, altitude is still fine. So I'm gonna just keep going straight. Let me take a pot shot at it just to see if I can hit it here. Well, actually, you know what? No, let me save my ammo. I only have 4 shots left, so alright. Not gonna make any changes yet. Alright. fired at me. Well, so much for that. Alright, well, since you did that, I'm gonna fire at you. Let's see, I'm gonna select you, press F, fire. Nope, no hit. Didn't think it would, but anyway, I lost an ammo. Ah, much better. Obviously, this hurts both ways. So, firing angle is about 45 degrees. This is probably in range because you can theoretically swivel the gun or your plane a little bit, kind of weave. So let me review. Where are we here? So still about this, didn't change altitude. Okay. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to kind of do a sharp turn into it. So let's keep the throttle the same. Sharp right turn. Remember your orientation. It can be a little confusing with these arrows, whether it's left or right that you're intending to do it. So anyway, this is going right, and I'm going to stay level, and the computer will do its thing again. It's firing at me. It got me. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised. We're very close, and we are about the same altitude level. So I'm going to go ahead and select it and fire it as well. Yep, got it. Again, not too surprising. The closer you are, the better the odds of you hitting the opposite. Now notice something here. This is important. My plane, if I select it, you notice that there is a little. It might be a bit hard to see, but there is a little plume of white smoke behind it, and the same thing for the enemy plane. We have about roughly the same damage, I believe. Unfortunately, because the video chip of the Adam has a 4 sprites per scan line limitation, and so you will lose some parts of a sprite when you have a lot of elements on a single line. And here, if you count it, we have one of the bracket. Each part of the bracket is a sprite, so we have one, the plane, another bracket, and then this plane. And so we have really 4 sprites, so only part of the other sprite is showing. So you will see that a lot during the game, particularly when you have multiple planes on the field. It doesn't necessarily distract too much from the gameplay, and I consider it more of a feature like Fog of War, so it's fine. But as we move apart, I'm going to try to move apart just for demonstration's sake, so you can see the effect better. So I'm going to keep my throttle, I'm going to keep just going straight. I normally wouldn't do that, but because it's going to get on my tail. Keep my altitude the same, and the computer will do its thing. I don't have a target to select, so there we are. So yeah, it got on my tail, obviously. Not the best thing, but now you can see the effect better. You can see that white plume of smoke. That plume of smoke will turn black when your damage becomes significant. Right now it's moderate damage, so that's one way you can tell what the damage on each airplane is roughly. Remember, you don't know what's going on with each enemy plane or even your wingman really, but you can see if they're training smoke, and that's exactly what I'm trying to emulate here. So he's on my tail. I'm gonna let him, for demonstration purposes, maybe shoot me, or we'll see. So let me just keep going straight. So I'm not gonna change any settings here. And let's see what it does. It's probably gonna just, oh, yeah, it shot at me. Okay, so and it got me. So look at, now you see that I have a black training smoke coming out. That means that I'm in trouble. So I probably should be heading out of dodge. So I don't have a target to, and I decided to go straight. So yeah, it's sticking to me and it shot me down. Yeah, so I got too much damage. So I'm dead. Okay, well, I mean, I gave this game away for demonstration purposes. I'll take one for the team. In any case, so there are multiple ways of ending a particular game. One of them obviously is being shut down. The other is if your plane breaks up from overspeed in midair, or if you hit the ground, or your plane gets out of the field. If your plane wanders outside of this field, then you will automatically be returned to base. You have to be careful here though, especially in career mode. If you leave the field and you still have ammo and you still have more than 25% fuel, and there are still enemy planes on the field, then you will be considered a coward, and that you have abandoned the battlefield, and you will have a cowardice event assigned to you, which will delay your eventual promotion. Anywho, so once you get that, the game basically ends. So you press any key and you'll be taken to the mission summary. Obviously I have been killed, I did not kill anything, and I am asked to play a new game. So we're gonna say yes, and I'm just gonna quickly show you what it looks like to do a career. Well, not start a new career, but I already set up a career previously, so we'll just show that. So that's the 3, an old career. So I get to enter my career name and current status. So I'm a sergeant, I'm a German. Assigned airplane is the Albatros D1, which is the lowest rank airplane you can fly. These are the specifications. It's got a good range though. Low ceiling, max speed is fairly slow, and stall speed is not too bad. Climb rate is miserable. Anywho, I have not had any kills or cowardice events at this point, which is good. So press any key, I'll be taken to the situation room. Now I'm assigned 2 wingmen, and these are 2 Fokker DR7, which are really good. So they're really watching over me. And then we have 3 enemy airplanes. They can vary from between 1 and 3 randomly. And looks like we have 2 Newports and a SPAD-13. The SPAD is a dangerous airplane. So we press a key to start the game, and same thing, the dashboard is displayed, updated, and on the field we see we have my plane here with the cyan wingtips and my 2 wingmen, and then the 3 enemy planes. And when we review, you can go over your wingmen and also over the enemy planes. They're a little on the upper side of altitude, so I might go up a little bit. So I'm gonna increase my throttle. If I try to climb without increasing my throttle to at least 75, I run the risk of stalling, or my speed will drop significantly. So I don't think I'll stall here, because I'm still way above the stall speed, which is here. However, I'm not taking any chances. The downside is anytime you go to 75 or 100 on throttle, your fuel consumption doubles. So it's a trade-off. So anyway, that's just, you can move, by the way, the throttle by using the up and down arrow keys. I'm gonna go here at 75. Maneuver, we're gonna stay straight, and we're gonna go to climb. Alright, and so the computer will cycle through all the planes on the field except yours, and will assign orders. And as you can see, it's a bit sluggish simply because the program is so large that I have to use overlays, and so it's loading overlays from disk every time it cycles through a plane. So that's why its response is a bit sluggish. Alright, so target, I don't have a target, we're too far away, so now, okay, so it updated, it's updating my dashboard now, and you'll notice that my altitude went up. My airspeed didn't change much because I did increase my throttle output. Fuel went down, and now if we check the other airplanes, so the altitude difference has dropped close to normal, so I think I'll be fine here, and I'll go ahead and bring back my throttle to 50% to manage my fuel. I'll keep the straight flight, and I'll go back to level flight. Alright, and that's basically the computer cycling again, and so on and so forth. You can imagine this can get into quite a hairball, and one thing I should mention, that even though some planes might overlap, there is no chance of collision, mid-air collision. There's still plenty of space in between each plane to fly above or below each other. So collisions do not occur in this game. Alright, so now you see what the game is all about. I'm gonna go ahead and just exit the airfield here, just to demonstrate how to cover this thing. So let's wait for it to finish updating here, and I'm gonna make a sharp left turn. Let's go throttle same, sharp left turn, and level. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to exit the field from the top and return to base. Because there are still enemies on the field and I still have a lot of fuel and full ammo, I'm going to be flagged as a coward, unfortunately. Alright, no target, so now we'll update. As you can see, I'm moving towards the edge, so I'm going to increase my alright, review. I'm gonna, oops, okay, yep, no change. Oh shoot, I forgot, I should have gone straight. Okay, yeah, I'll do it the following turn. So the planes are creeping towards us, and you can see these are two Newports that are significantly slower than the SPAT 13, which is up front. And you can see this is the SPAT 13, and these are the two Newports. Oops. Yep. So that's a faster airplane, so it's moving towards us, so it has a faster clip. All right. I don't have any targets, so all right. So let me nothing much. So let me just go. Actually, yeah. Let's just turn to the right again. So I'm going to increase my throttle. I don't care at this point. And I'm gonna go back to a hard right and stay at level flight. Okay, these guys are starting to fire at each other. Yeah, I don't think it'll hit. Yeah, the odds of hitting at this distance are about probably 25%. Okay, I don't have a target, so let's update everything. Yeah, as you can see here, we have two airplanes that are overlapping each other, but they will not collide. And I fled combat because I got out of the field. So at this point the game is ended. So I press a key to go to the mission summary, and I landed back safely. I got 0 kills, 0 carry kills, but I got a cowardice event, unfortunately. And unless you are killed, the game is your dossier or your career track is saved automatically. You don't have to prompt for that. If you die, however, it is not saved. This will allow you to replay another game. But the downside of this is that any mission kills that occur on the game that you were killed at and will not be saved. So it's a trade-off. Alright, so that's basically it. We can go ahead and press no to exit back to CPM. Again, there's a lot more detail about the gameplay and the intricacies of flying the planes than I have explained here, so make sure to please read the manual before you play in order to maximize your enjoyment. Feel free to send my way any comments, bug reports, or anything else, and thank you for watching.